Okay. So the assignment advice, again, I'm not going to give you answers, um, but I do want to sort of focus you. In this one, there's going to be a lot of activities and a lot of locations, cities and states. So go back to Unit 4 and review those. Um, and if you don't have access to Unit 4 because that was last semester, um, go on to YouTube and just start looking for these. I'm going to give you a bunch of them. Uh, Many of them are used in the questions. There are some that aren't. There are some, they're not in any specific order. So I just want to sort of focus your studying. I think it's hard. Unit 4 teaches so many that they just get lost. And I kind of wish we could introduce them unit by unit, introduce 6 more, 7 more, each unit, and build that vocabulary. Then it might be useful. Doing them all at once is kind of impossible. So first conversation starter in the questions, from. I know we've talked about not, that from is kind of more Englishy than ASL, but it is used in some specific situations. From DC. Oh, I know you're from DC. He also signs that know that, know that, know that. And we've seen it in the past, and I know I've talked about it in ASL 1. If you didn't have me, you might not have gotten that little mini lecture. But we'll oftentimes use, no, oh, I know that. I know that. Oh, did you know that? So we use this a lot. And it doesn't change to that. It just goes, oh, I know that you live in DC. You from DC. Okay. He signs museums, I think many. So imagine that he's pointing at every single museum that he's encountering, right? So it looks kind of like a spider. But so like here's a whole host of museums that are spread out all over the place. So it's a concept. He also does this and asks her, like, do you suggest any? Do you suggest any? Offer any? She spingles finger spells. It goes by really fast. Slow it down, but you'll see she spells free. Make sure you catch that. Don't just take. If I give you a word that gets finger spelled, don't just go, oh, well, I know it's finger spelled in there somewhere. Make sure you catch it. Make sure you see it and your brain registers that's free. Free. Every time you watch it, you'll see free. Not just the association, oh, he told me that's free. There's something I'm not a researcher, but there's something about the way the brain works that if you just say, oh, I got it, your brain actually doesn't remember it. It thinks it has. But the next time you see it, it'll still be, I don't know what it is. But the first time you look at it and go, oh, free, that free, I see the free, I see the FREE. I see it, I got it, I can watch it again, I can see it. Then your brain remembers it. Your brain remembers it as a positive, as opposed to an empty something, like an empty association. So, I suppose it's the difference between actually remembering something and being told so many times that something happened when you were a child that now you just remember it, even though you don't actually remember it. So it's that kind of thing. With fingerspelling, every time you lock in a fingerspelled word to your brain, you add that to that lexicon. And the next time you see it, your brain will reproduce it. So it's really important to don't lie to yourself. If you didn't get it, you didn't get it. Go back and do it. Go back and get it. Be strict with yourself. Don't take the shortcut, because it'll hamper you in the end. Rocket. We do plane, rocket. And then she fingerspells space and then describes like the stars overhead. In the second conversation starter, just watch their descriptions. They set up an idea and then they describe it. Sign for New York City for conversation 3. So review that one. And there's a new sign for family that's happened in the last few years. And it was a way of trying to get away from using the letter F for family, because that's still very signed English. It hasn't been adopted widely because there are some people who kind of don't like the image of it. And it wasn't a very organic creation of the this sign, and there are a couple other ones that are all sort of being culture is one of the other ones that people are like, oh, that's a C. We don't want to use a C. That's an F. We don't want to use an F. So people started doing family and culture. So the easiest way to think about it is whatever surrounds the person is their culture, and then a group of people. Some people don't like it because it does this and it closes off. And especially with like culture, a culture doesn't close. A culture is open, right? It develops, it grows. So I'll be curious to see if it sticks. It does feel like it's kind of artificially being pushed, but I'm just old. So, um, so that's family. Family. Then San Antonio. I don't know why this is San Antonio, unless people were like, read my lips, San Antonio. But this is San Antonio. So make sure one more city to learn. Amusement park versus water park. Watch the vocab. Go through what's the sign. And at one point, when he describes the cool amusement park, um, uh, she responds with a couple of different opinion signs. She does formal, like fancy. Ooh, that's high class. Formal, whoa, kind of like an it's kind of like an ouch, like a wow, that's impressive. Like I'm a little overwhelmed. Boom, boom, that sounds like the best. So so you can mix and match those together as long as they make sense together. So you'll start to see more of those happen. Bum. Now the worksheets in the comprehension quiz, I'm just going to give these lists of cities to review. So go back, review these cities and the states that correspond to them, which is down at the bottom. I didn't do Ohio, just fingerspell it. But go back and review all of these. Some of them will pop up. Many of them will pop up. Some of them will not. That's all I'll say. And then these activities. State Fair, Fair. I said best beach just because they use that as a description. And there are a few different ways you could sign that, so explore that. Dancing all night, bus tour. Right? There are lots of different ways you can sign these, so think about how you might do it. What's the sign for visit? So review these. Train. How do you travel by train? Plane, foot, right? And then different kinds of museums. So just go explore these, go look at them in the what's the sign before you get into the worksheets and the comprehension quiz at the end of 6.4, because these will help. So just focus your studying on these concepts rather than just anything. And I believe that's it as far as the assignment advice.